So my name is Nick Hayden. I'm the General Manager of Digital Energy Services here at Schneider. So I have a team of about close to 200 people across Australia who look after service and maintenance and small special projects, etc. for HVAC controls, so building management systems, along with access control, CCTV and security systems. I would say the bulk of what we do is wrapped around HVAC control and kind of what I'm mostly going to be talking about today. So I'm going to talk about technology in buildings. Now, there's a common but mistaken belief that smart building technology is really going to automate everything in a building and handle operations from end to end. But even in today's most advanced buildings, there's still the need for oversight of not just technology, but also people as well. So really to ensure that operations of a building and environments stay comfortable for people and that overall building performance is ultimately achieved, there's still this need for both technology and people. So with the integration of technologies like AI, the potential for valuable interactions between people and technology is increasing. So the technology acceleration coupled with evolving work environments and sustainability concerns is really reshaping the role of what people have in today's buildings and across all building segments really. So in this evolving landscape, the team that manages buildings face a new range of challenges from energy regulations changing to building resiliency, and all of this is really necessitating the need for trusted partners who offer specialised services in this space. So I really liken a building and the team that operate it to a Formula One car and the team that operate it. So, you know, in Formula One, the rules are changing every couple of years to make it more competitive and to make it more challenging to drive technology forward. But the teams, they're using data, they're using AI, they're using analytics to provide valuable insights about the car so that the driver and the team are always enabled with the right information at the right times to make the right decisions so that the car and the driver can operate together at peak performance. So amongst all of the technology in the building space, I think the value lies not just in the technology itself, but also in the interactions that it enables between people, the technology and the building systems. So what I want to do today is I want to take this back to basics a little bit, and I want to walk you through the climate change issues that are really driving the need for all of this technology and people. And then kind of get into where in this room we can collectively do more and take action. I want to talk a little bit about what we've learned from our teams out in the field who are doing service and maintenance every day. And then at the end, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of sites where we've tried some things a little differently and delivered some really good results. So if I start with back to the beginning, if this is new to you guys, I'd be really surprised after the last couple of days worth of climate change challenge that's been thrown at you. But hopefully you've all heard this before and the message is getting a lot louder and a lot clearer. But we're really facing this climate crisis, right? And global temperatures are rising, which is of course driven by this rapid increase in carbon emissions. But a really sobering thought, if you pause and you look at this graph for a minute, and the trajectory of it, what it's telling us is that about 80% of carbon emissions growth to date has happened in the last 70 odd years. So for all of us here, 80% of carbon emissions produced has happened on our parents, by our parents' generation and by our generation, right? So it's happening on our watch. And if the trajectory continues the same way, we're going to see temperatures increase by about 4 to 6 degrees. So, and if that was to actually play out over the next 70 odd years, it's going to have pretty devastating impacts, not only on future generations and our kids and their kids, but also the planet as well. So, in order to keep temperatures within sustainable levels, we've got to limit global warming to about 1.5 odd degrees. So there's some good news. We can take action, and we are. So there is progress being made. There's some 70 odd countries committed to net zero, and another within that, about 7,200 odd companies globally that are committed to net zero. But with the commitments that are there and in place today, it gets us on track to meeting about 2.5 degrees of global warming instead of what we need at about 1.5 degrees. So what it's telling us is that we need to do more, and we need to progress about 3 times faster than what we are if we're going to have a chance of leaving this planet better than what we found it for future generations. Now, where is it that we can take action to accelerate decarbonisation of buildings? So obviously I work on the service side of the business, so within existing buildings, so that's where my motivation lies. But we know that buildings are responsible for generating about 37% of global carbon emissions. And for everyone in this room, we're really in the privileged position to take sustainability action on 2 fronts. The first one is everyone can run out and make their homes and their cars and their personal lives as carbon-free as possible. And I'm not going to explain how to do that. You can look up a guy named Sol Griffith, who actually presented a couple of years ago at this same event. He's got a really great roadmap for carbon emissions reduction and net zero within the home. So I encourage you to go look him up, plenty of content online. But the second thing that we can do is we can come to work, and through the work that we do every single day in the building space, is we can bring more visibility to sustainability challenges, and we can take action to help drive more efficiency within buildings. So we've said we can take action within buildings, and when you break it down, the majority of carbon emissions comes from the operations of buildings that already exist today. So we know that about 80% of existing buildings are going to exist and still be in use by 2050. So to help us meet these net zero commitments and to make the biggest impact on global warming that we can, we've got to address decarbonisation in existing buildings as well as build new ones from the beginning that are net zero. So to support the acceleration of this over the next few years, there is a whole myriad of market forces that are coming into alignment or that are in alignment to help drive it. So if I just rattle off a few of them, right, there's obviously this continued drive towards addressing climate change because it's the right thing to do. Since January 1 this year, there is, under the Corporations Act, some new rules around mandatory reporting for sustainability. There is mandatory recording requirements through construction and fit-out works under Section J, which help put in more metering to give more visibility of where energy is going. There is higher than normal office vacancy rates. So around in the CBD space, there's about 15% vacancy, which is an increase from prior to COVID levels. And we know that what this means is that tenants obviously flock to higher performing buildings because they got more choice of where they tenant. And we know that tenants will pay a premium for buildings that have better performance. And the vacancy rates within these types of buildings is actually lower at about 10%. So, and the last one, which, you know, there's more, but the last one I want to mention here is mandatory disclosure of neighbours ratings. Now, this exists in commercial office and has done an amazing job over the last 15 years of driving a lot of change there. But I think over the next few years, what we're probably going to see is mandatory disclosure of neighbours ratings in other building segments like shopping centres and data centres and public hospitals. And I believe that that's going to happen before 2030. So subsequently following that, you probably start to see mandatory disclosure of that as well. So when you pull all of these things together, we're not going to see this issue of energy efficiency and decarbonisation go away. We're just going to see more and more spend and an acceleration towards making a bigger impact. So the opportunity and the market drivers are there, and it's just going to become more and more prevalent. So when you zoom in and you look at the life cycle of a building, 30% of its carbon emissions come from embodied carbon. So this is at the beginning when the building's constructed. It's in things like cement, steel, pipework, glass. You can really only impact this at the time of construction. But the majority of carbon emissions comes from the life cycle, 70% of it, in fact. So when you dive a little deeper, the biggest opportunities lie in reducing energy consumption, electrifying, and replacing fossil fuels with energy sources that are renewable. So the first step there being reduce, which is arguably the most important step because the greenest energy is the energy that you just don't use in the first place. This is all about just squeezing the maximum amount of efficiency that you can out of the technology that you have. And that could be done through the life cycle of building, through service, through tuning, through small upgrades and energy conservation measures and software optimization, etc. The second step is all around electrifying. So this is really targeted more towards mechanical and HVAC equipment and installing more efficient equipment and removing gas-consuming things from a building. And the third step is all about replacing, so just introducing more renewable sources of energy on site, whether it's batteries or solar or whatever that is, which is then leads to more source and demand style management. But what's interesting here is that every single one of these steps, there's no one and done approach to performance in buildings, because even when you work through each one of those, after electrifying, after replacing, there's this consistent and continuous need to be tuning and fine-tuning and tuning and fine-tuning over the life of the building to make sure that it's performing to its peak. And all of that is done through service and maintenance and operational teams that are on site. If we dive a little deeper again, within a building, on average, about 68% of electricity and about 49% of gas is associated with HVAC systems. So, this varies a lot across different building segments, but I think overall the mix of HVAC energy consumption is extremely high. So if you think about that, in the context of operating a building over its life cycle, if you just looked at a 10-year period, and if you said that a building was costing about $1 million a year worth of electricity, over 10 years, there's $10 million worth of electricity, of which the contractor or the BMS contractor or the controls technician, whatever you know that individual by, who's sitting in front of the machine making changes through service and maintenance, has got influence over $7 million worth of electricity that goes into a building over that 10-year period. So if you can squeeze just 15% efficiency out of that, you're talking $1 million worth of savings over a 10-year period. So not to mention those savings also feed into improved neighbours ratings, and if you're in office, that leads into improved rents. And in some cases, depending on what the equipment is that's being tuned for efficiency, you can extend its life cycle by 5 to 10 years for a lot of the mechanical equipment. So this person who's in front of the building management system every day has this enormous influence over performance of a building and can really make or break that over time. So just to recap some of the main points so far. So I think by and large, most people have really accepted that climate change is a problem and we've got to do something. We've got to do something 3 times faster than what we're doing it now. We know that buildings make up 39% of all carbon emissions, and we know that 80% of existing buildings are going to still be there by 2050. And we know that within those buildings, on average, 68% of all the energy that goes in and 49% of all the gas goes into HVAC systems. And we know that the controls contractor that sits there in front of this thing all day, every day, has a huge influence over the overall outcome. So I've been in this industry for about 15 years now, and I've been thinking about this particular challenge for a few of those 15 years. But I've also been watching the industry come up with technology to help solve all of these problems at the same time. And this, has made me wonder over the last couple of years if all of the controls contractors out there have so much influence, do the engineers on the ground who are doing this work day to day actually have access to all of the tools and all of the information that they need to effectively drive performance within buildings? So that led me to do a survey of our teams. So I went out and I did a survey of all of the engineers that work for us within existing buildings. And I want to share with you some of the results that I found when I did that. So the first question that I asked our team out in the field was, how many of the sites that you look after do you have access to energy profile data and electricity data? So does anyone want to guess what that percentage was?
20?
20?
10.
10? Okay. Well, the first guess was 20, and that was pretty close. So about 21% of our people have access to energy profile data within a building. I actually thought that wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. So the second question that I asked was, how many of the sites that you guys look after, you guys and girls, how many of these sites have a HVAC analytics solution in place that's driving maintenance activities? Does anyone want to guess what the response was for that? Nope.
5%?
5, a little more than 5. So we had 17% of our people out in the field tell us that they had access to these tools. And the last question that I asked the team was, how many of the sites that you look after do you have access to both of these tools? Any guesses on this one? 5's a lot closer, sadly. So the result for that was 6%. So what that's telling us is that our technicians out in the field who are struggling with time, only 6% of them have an analytics solution in place which is helping save them time. And that time then, if it was being saved, would be spent potentially reviewing energy profile data and taking action off the back of it. So, I would suggest that this would be reasonably representative of the industry as a whole, not just the workforce here at Schneider, because there are a myriad of tools that exist, not just the Schneider tools that exist, even on the sites that we have. And I think what this overall is telling us is that the people that have the greatest influence over energy efficiency over the life cycle of the building, who work on it day to day, don't have the visibility and the feedback and the time to spend into driving building performance. So, knowing that we need to do more to accelerate this net zero transition, and now armed with all of this information that says, the people that are out there aren't really enabled with all of the right technology and data at their fingertips. What we have done at Schneider is we've built a new service model which really moves away from the traditional preventative style maintenance that we've lived with for many years. And it aims to provide teams with the right energy data, the right analytics and the right AI where it makes sense. When you couple these tools with the right people and the right skills, great sustainability outcomes can be achieved. So this new service model is called EcoCare, And what it does is it streamlines service delivery through a core service plan, which then enables the teams to complete tasks that are associated with the technology itself, but then also focuses people on tuning and fine-tuning and trying to extract the most that they can out of HVAC systems. So we then add and offer a suite of add-on enhancements on top of that provide the tools to really help accelerate that. Yeah. So EcoCare, what it does is it directly addresses this energy efficiency challenge, and the drive towards net zero by enabling them with the right tools and the right feedback at the right times to be able to take action. So what this does is it really represents for Schneider and for our customers a significant transformation in the way that services is approached and the way that it's delivered. And I think what this will do over the coming years is really help accelerate that transition towards net zero. And I'm not going to go into more details about the maintenance offer itself. If you want to learn more, feel free to head out into the buildings section in the main room. There's a guy there named James Tax who actually helped me build all of this service offer, and we can really dive into the weeds of how it all works and how it goes together. So I'd encourage you to do that. So, before launching this service offer, we've run a couple of trials out in the field just to see, what results can be achieved. And I want to share some of those with you. So the first one up on the screen here is we've been trialing this EcoCare style of approach with this customer for just over a year now, I believe. And what this site has is it's got a great set of technology. It has HVAC analytics, it has metering, it has sub-metering, it has energy reporting, and it has a really great person on the end of all of that who understands how to interpret the information and then make changes to the building to drive performance. And then he knows how to review that energy data at the end to make sure that the changes that he's made have had a positive impact or not. So this particular example, this building has all of these great tools that are available to a great person. And over the course of the last 12 odd months, what this customer has seen is air handling unit energy consumption come down by about 30%, gas usage come down by about 12%, and indoor environment quality driven up to 5.5 stars neighbours. So really, I guess this speaks to the fact that when you enable the right people with the right tools out in the field, they can deliver really great results. The second example I want to share with you, but it's a much smaller building, but no less important, is a 5-storey office building in about 20 k's out of Melbourne CBD. So again, this example in this site has really great coverage of technology. So it's got analytics, it's got energy reporting, and it's really enabled by a really great person on the end of it. And I won't go into the details of what was done here, but through optimization of the HVAC systems that were on this site, this particular customer has seen a 73% improvement in indoor environment quality. So what we've done there is we've really stabilized the conditions in the building where for about 95% of the occupied time, the temperatures are within range, and we're consuming a lot less energy at the same time. And all of that's kind of fed into and driven this improvement in their neighbours' IEQ rating, which has gone from 2 up to on track for 5.5 stars now. So they've seen a reduction of over 80% in their gas usage, almost 20% reduction in electricity bills, and about a 30% reduction overall in carbon emissions from this particular building. And the last one is the largest hospital in the Western Health District in Victoria. So this customer spends about $5 million a year on electricity and about $1 million a year on gas. So we've been working with them for a number of years. Recently, we've spent some time helping them deploy optimization of one building system. And through that, we've managed to get a 2% electricity saving for the whole hospital, which equates to, 2% sounds like a lot, but like not a lot, but it translates into about $100,000 a year worth of electricity saving, or over 800 tons of carbon emissions saved each year. And it's actually doubled the life expectancy of the mechanical plant that it's running just by implementing one initiative. So there's actually a whole bunch of other initiatives that are happening with this customer on this side at the moment. So there's a whole bunch more results and great feedback to come. But I think what these three examples really demonstrate is when you put the right people and the right tools together, you can drive a really great outcome. So lastly, I want to leave you with this. If we can accelerate the uptake of technology in buildings and really put it in the right hands of the right people, we're going to make buildings cheaper to operate, more attractive to occupy, and we're going to do more to help accelerate this decarbonisation and climate change challenge that we've got ahead of us. So when trying to maximise performance in buildings, just like a Formula One car and a Formula One team, we've got to acknowledge that the value lies not just in the technology itself, but in the interactions that it creates between people and buildings and the building systems that are there. So, thank you for your time today.